guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle and today I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to plan your first craft show. When I did my first craft show, I started looking up on Pinterest and YouTube and all my different platforms on how to set up your first craft show, what to expect, things to do, and a lot of them were very repeat, very similar to what I had already thought of in my own mind. So I just want to be really raw with you guys and share 10 awesome tips so your first craft show can be super cool. Tip number 1, book your craft show in a local area. There is nothing like booking it somewhere where you've never been before, somewhere that's super far away, someplace that you're uncomfortable with. Book it at a place that you are comfortable with going. For instance, I booked mine about 30 minutes away. My godmother lived 5 minutes away from the school that I booked it at. I slept over at her house so I could get there super early in the morning. So that's my first tip. My second tip, find out how popular it is. I called ahead, I spoke with the person in charge. I asked her a few questions like, hey, this is my first craft show. How many people should I expect? How many vendors are there? Things like that. And she was like, well, it's kind of a big craft show, but it could vary. If it gives you any kind of tip, we have a few hundred vendors that are gonna be at this craft show. And I was like, okay. Sounds good. Then I went on to tip 3 and I set a goal of how many sales that I wanted to have. So because I knew how many people could be there, based on how many vendors they were gonna have, I was like, awesome. I made 1,000 candles, all different sizes, and I wanted to sell half of them at least. By setting a goal for how many you want to sell of your product, it really pushes you to make sure that you're communicating with the people that walk past you, with the people that are just looking, and it really helps you be more positive about I need to make the sale. When you're setting your goal, don't be greedy, be very realistic. I made 1,000 candles of all different sizes. I'm not realistically gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna sell all 1,000 candles, and I'm gonna push my shit on you. No, you wanna make sure that you're being super realistic. If you have a crap ton of expensive stuff, you're probably not gonna sell all your stuff. So be very realistic, give yourself a reasonable goal, and the goal that you should have is always however much money it costs you to get in. It was like $80 for me to get into this craft show, and I was like, my goal is to sell $80 worth of candles, and I'll call myself successful. Tip number 4, make sure that you have both high-priced items and low-priced items. This is essential. If people come to your craft show and if you're all the way at the end of the line or at the end of the hallway or wherever you are where there's not an entrance by you and you're one of the last few people to be seen, chances are these people that are walking past you now have already spent all their money and only have a few dollars left. I was able to do tea lights, and I love my tea lights, and they're super cute and they're really little and they're very affordable. So when people would walk by, they'd be like, oh, I love your candle. I love everything that you have, but I only have a few dollars. How much are these? So it really benefits to make sure that you have small priced items because of affordability and where they're at with their cash. Keep that in mind. Number 5, figure out all the materials that you need and start ordering them right now. You do not want to get in the pickle that I did. So I booked this craft show for myself, my first craft show, and I started placing all these orders, but none of my stuff was coming in. I was waiting on my wax. It took a really long time and I was getting super nervous that it wasn't gonna get here on time. So their delivery date was 3 weeks. And so for 3 weeks I just had to wait for the rest of my wax to come in because I had already run out. Make sure that you are super prepared with all the materials, and so if this is something that you really want to be doing for the rest of your life or for a few years or whatever it is, my suggestion, over order, because it is better to be super prepared and have a crap ton of extra stuff than not enough stuff and then have all this anxiety and pressure and oh my god, what's gonna happen? Is this gonna get here on time? Plus, after the craft show happened, I got a bunch of orders that came in afterwards and had a bunch of wax to be able to continue my orders. So just make sure you're super prepared with your materials, and hopefully that little rant made sense. Cool. Number 6. Print a sign or banner with your logo on it so people can easily recognize you. Whether you are new or not, you should always have banners to let people know who you are, what you do, and what you offer. Because nothing screams, I'm not prepared or I am a newbie more than not having something that expresses what your company does and what your company is. For instance, I have this huge long banner that just has my logo on it. So right away when people walk by, they're like, oh, Savage Boutique, cool. But then I also have this tall banner that lists out all my candles that, and big and bold, it says that they're all handcrafted, that they're all hand poured, and it's all natural, vegan friendly, and recycled wine bottles, hand cut and treated. So right away, my quick elevator speech is right there for people to see. So whether somebody wants to talk to me or not, they can read it. I think I've had a lot of coffee today, so if I'm like speaking super fast, sorry. If you really like how fast I'm talking, please let me know down below, because I'll just make sure I'm all hyped up on coffee for you the next time and every other time I do a video. Cool. Number 7 is advertise and tell all your friends and family about your craft show, and do not be afraid to ask them to come. I had a bunch of friends and family that showed up, and it felt great, and it gave me a lot of support. And also when they were looking at my, hi Callie, this is my dog Kelly, she's a special dog, touches my heart. Okay, so they all showed up, and nothing screams business like business. And whether these nice strangers that were walking by knew they were family or not, they thought that they were customers, and most of my friends and family actually were. But anyways, I digress. Make sure you invite them, because they may be some of your best advocates and some of your best customers that you have, because trust me, your friends and your family love you. They will support you. It could be your smallest item, or it could be your biggest item that they buy, and I'm sure that they will, because they love you just like I do. Put a bunch of my candles on my list. Oh, one more thing on how to advertise to your friends and family. Tell them how super excited you are. Be very vulnerable when you ask them. If you're worried about people not coming and seeing your stuff, maybe then they'll hang out a little bit longer at your craft show. One thing about them actually being there is don't get distracted by them. They're not going to take offense that you're not able to just hang out with them at your show. This is your business, so make sure that you're professional. You don't want to sit there and shoot the shit with your aunt or your uncle when there's customers smelling your candles or looking at your product. You might lose a sale because you didn't speak to them. Don't ever make your customers think that you're too busy for them, even if it's your friends or family. Number 8, I think it's 8. Know how you want your booth to look and do a test run. This is where I screwed up. A lot of my setup time was wasted because I thought I knew exactly how I wanted my booth to look, but I never did a test run. Well, I kind of did a test run, but it was like a half-ass, like, oh, this looks good there. Oh, that looks good there. That's bullshit. Do a full test run. Know what size of booth you're looking for or you're working with. Know exactly if you have electricity or not. Normally you have to pay more if you do. Be super prepared. So if you have an 8x8 booth or if you have an 8x10 booth, be aware of it and use as much space of it as possible. The other thing about your booth is, so let's say you have like an 8x8. And I'll draw you a little plan. Let me find a piece of paper. Okay, let's say you're at a high school like I was. So you're working with a narrow hallway. So you have lockers over here, lockers over there. You can't see that. Those are lockers. If you have an 8x8 booth or an 8x10 like I did, you probably have this much space. And the next person is literally butted up right next to you. So they have that same amount of space. So this is 3 booths. This is the walkway. There are people that will come to make sure you're not outside of your booth and that you are not in the middle of the walkway. So these are like the invisible lines that are on the floor or tape like my place did. Make sure you set your booth up great. So the person next to me was a lip sense girl. So she wanted people to come up to her and she sat down with her husband. So she was like this. Her booth was right there. She was pulled back into her booth so people wouldn't be in the walkway. It looks like a smiley face or a butt smiley face. So she had people that could kind of walk into her booth area and then that could walk past too. So she wasn't holding up the booth or the walkway area, because that's super annoying for anybody. Think about when you're at Walmart, Target, or some fancy store. Do you really like when people are in your way? Nope. Do you ever stop where a bunch of people are that like you definitely see no room for? Nope, unless you're a little bit crazy or you know exactly what's there. You don't stop when there's a bunch of people there. So you want to make sure you pull people in so more people can come in. So for me, since I have a candle company, I had a table like that, I had a table like this, and then I had 2 bookshelves like this. You see that? So those 2 bookshelves were tall, so they show people that are walking this way my candles, and then if you see, it's like on a diagonal, so people walking this way got to see my candles too. And there was a lot of times people would ask the person next to me if those were her candles, and she'd be like, oh no, they're not, they're hers. And then those people would hop on over to my booth. See all this walkway? See how many people can be here? Look it, there can be 1 Jane, 2 Jane, 3 Jane, 4 Jane, 5 Jane, plus me. But I would always stand kind of outside of it or over here. This way people could walk in and I can greet everybody that walked by and still keep an eye on my product and make sure all of my potential customers were super cool. Make sure you do a test run, because I didn't, and it took way too long to get it set up. Probably missed 20 potential customers because they were watching me frantically be like, number 9, try to have everything done a week before your show. Let's face it, your deadline should be earlier. There are always little things that are gonna come up where you're gonna be like,
oh my god, I need to get this done, I need to get this done, I need to get that done, I didn't think about pricing, I didn't think about this. Should I have stickers? What about this? What about this?
and you wanna make sure you give yourself some time. Plus, some of your stuff might not actually be finished. If you don't know Murphy's Law is, look it up. Whatever could happen will happen. Whatever could go wrong will go wrong. Something like that, one of the two. And trust me, it is true. I placed my order for my materials on time. My materials came literally 2 weeks before the show. So you want to make sure that you get used to Murphy's Law, because whatever will happen, whatever could happen will happen. And just be prepared and get used to it and love it, because that's life, that's business. And trust me, the payout's really awesome. That pride that you feel when you finish huge goal of yours is super cool. Number 10. So this is key. You are the face. And what does every customer want to see when they see the face of a business? They want to see a smile. So this is what you need to remember. Enjoy the show. Smile and greet everyone. Stand. I don't give a crap if you have a chair or a table you can sit behind. Make sure you are standing. Nothing looks worse than somebody that refuses to get up and walk around their own craft show. Just saying. And by craft show, I mean like their booth. But when people see that you are standing up, they don't see laziness. They see pride. They see somebody willing to do the work and willing to put work into what they're doing, because it's not easy to stand. It is easy to sit. So if you want people to pay high prices for your items and think that they are worth it, stand. Unless you can't physically or by your health stand, sorry, you're not lazy. So in this one, it says, enjoy the show, smile, greet everyone, stand, make it welcoming, ask if they have any questions, perfect your elevator speech, and remember to learn from your mistakes. It is okay to have an elevator speech, just don't be boring with it. Make sure you enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, sure as hell can bet that the people who are listening to it do not enjoy it either. Also, a smile really does go a long way. People next to me were talking about to customers. They were like, this is her first craft show, isn't it? Isn't she great? Look at how professional it is. And nothing feels better than receiving compliments from your competition. So always put a smile on and don't get stuck in that hole. If it's slow, do not talk about how slow it is. Don't go into a deep depression because it's slow. You can make a crap ton of money off of one person, and if they even witness, see, or think that you are being a little bit sad about how slow it is, they might not buy something from you. So those are my 10 tips. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or want to add to those tips, leave them down below. Can't wait to hear from you. Also, all the people that are coming from here and going to my Instagram, thanks so much. If you don't know my Instagram, I'm gonna tag it down below. It is the.salvage.boutique. I love all the support that you guys have given me. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment below. Already said that. No big deal. Love you guys. Bye.